All right. How's everyone doing? Have you already started to work on your reports? What's happening? Have any specific questions?
Being honest, I haven't got into how the report is gonna look like. I know what I'm gonna focus on, but I haven't yet prepared the layout or the picture of how it will look like.
Yeah.
But everything is ready. I got the DAC and everything is ready. Just a matter to actually start putting onto the canvas. I have been pretty busy, really busy. So kind of leaving this one for the last minute. But it's still 7 days, so I got plenty of time. In 7 days, we do 40 reports if I need to.
The idea
it all depends on the priorities, right?
Yeah. But always the idea comes in the last minute, right, Federico? Always coming.
Oh, no. Yeah. And there have been times that my report was fully created, but I didn't like it. And people start changing that report. I know I just delete it and start afresh. I delete everything and start afresh. I need to come with a clean mind. I cannot have any something in the report that is distracting me from my new approach. So I delete it and start afresh. And then in the last minute, as you say, oh, I don't like this. I'm going to change it. Start again. But that's how it is. Hola, Monse. Sorry, me speaking Spanish to my...
No, it's fine.
It's all good.
I saw the data set. I started, but you know me. I start to add a data set, play in like a template file for Power BI, checking where is the relationship, how I can connect all these tables together, checking where is the I can count some and do a few things without using DAX first. Always try things without DAX.
Yes.
See how I can build few charts, pie chart, normal charts. Then actually, as Federico said, I'm starting fresh with Power Query, everything from scratch again.
Yeah.
I think a very good point, Mohammed, is that data modeling is more important than the DAX itself. If your data modeling is good, your DAX should be easier than normally. You complicate your life with your DAX because of the data modeling, you are in trouble from the beginning, something that people should avoid from the very beginning.
Yes. Trust me, the amount of times when I remember when I started off and when I was just eager to get something done, right? So we started off with the DAX. Oh, I can do this easily and that easily. And then you just realize like halfway through the report, you're like, why did I do that? I could have just changed some of the things in Power Query just to have it in the model. Then I can use that to have a decent DAX, which can actually dynamically change. Because otherwise, sometimes when you create a DAX, the thing about the DAX, right, it's very powerful, but it needs to understand the context. And if you mess up the way on how you provide a context, you're not going to get any results. So, yeah, like Mohammed said, usually start off with the model itself, understand what do you have, how do you work with it? Is there going to be anything on top of it? Do you want to have it dynamically or do you want to pre-calculate it? Because there are things to take into consideration. So, for example, I remember when I started off with Power BI, I was so afraid of DAX, right, that I was trying to use calculated columns for everything because it was a lot simpler to do. But once you realize the effect of it, you're like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But it is something that I think every single one of us has gone through. We started off with what felt right at that point of time. We started to learn things. And then from there, you start to understand, okay, that is not the ideal approach. I can still use it, but it has its implications.
People got really, really scared on the calculated columns because everybody was talking bad about them. But
yes.
It is all about how big your data set it is. If you have a small data set, you can use calculated column in a normal way, not too many, and it will not affect your report. But people start avoiding totally calculated columns. I remember arguing when, yes, you should avoid them, but sometimes you need to use it. If your data set is not that big, the use of calculated columns are not that bad. But you need to make these people understand the difference and when you can use calculated columns and when you cannot.
I agree with you both.
Absolutely.
First DAX I did, first Power BI with the DAX. Oh my God, I still have this record. I have over, I think, 110 DAX measure I created. I have over, 15, 20 calculated column. And when I try it again, like after I have the knowledge, I try it again, I find out actually I need 2 or 3 DAX, can be there. And none of calculated columns. So I think everyone needs to go back, check your first record that you did.
Yeah.
Check what you can improve. You find yourself that you can, wow, no, I need to change. This means you are improving. You are improving yourself. So don't be shame or shy. Yeah, I did this report. No, go back. Check your report. Try to do it again. See how much time you are taking to do it. Oh, it's less time. This means you are improving. And because you mentioned about DAX, yeah, I can see many YouTube videos about DAX is hard. It's heavy. You can. One of the videos I saw, it's very hard to understand or even to remember DAX and to know what all the measurement in this. And I was listening. I don't need to know all the measurement. I'm using Excel. There is over 10,000 calculation, in Excel. Yeah. I don't know all of them. But what you need to know is what I need to do and how I can reach this way. You can reach it by DAX. You can reach it by Power Query. You can add calculated column. So just know the way and then figure out what's the things you need to add to reach your goal.
Correct. And there is a misconception on that you need to know all the DAX, all the Excel formulas to be good at what you do, and it's totally wrong. And you will use a number of DAX measures, 10, 15, that are important for you for your work. Make sure you just learn these 10 to 15 DAX measures and make sure you use it properly. And that will take you a long way. Another thing that is another misconception is that everybody wants from the very beginning to be a master of DAX. A master of DAX doesn't get you in a year or 2 years. It takes time. And I use the example of Marco Russo and Ferrari, Alberto Ferrari, is that they have been doing that for 17 years now, more or less. Okay. Yes. When you have 17 years of that, then you might be as good as them. In the interview, you have to learn like they did.
Yeah. And they were in the beginning of Vintage of DAX. They one of the guys actually who started at Power BI and SQL Server.
Right. In Power People.
Yeah, these guys are amazing. So, and if you remember, they didn't even launch their YouTube until I think 15 or 16 years, something like this. Until now, they are mastering DAX. And they are doing, many things. And if you see their advice always, it's based on the data sets. It's based on your tables. It's based on what your module of your database is. Then they tell you, okay, if you want to do some DAX, they give you the ideas of the DAX.
Correct.
So my advice to everyone, focus on your database, focus on the modeling, the relationship between your database inside, then think about the DAX. Because when I have many people coming to me in my office saying, please, I need to learn DAX. I need to learn Power BI. And they go back. Let's start with database. What's the meaning of database? How you can create it? How you transfer? Sometimes I see files, servers, and of course, all of you, it's scattered information everywhere in Excel sheets. Organize it. Once it's set up and organized correctly, you can get any visual you need without even have this much DAX.
Mohammed, why don't you, because we know you a little bit, why don't you tell the audience who you are, what do you do?
Okay, so thank you very much. My name is Mohammed Metwalli. I'm a database analysis manager in KSA for Atkins Realis. And I'm working for now almost over 18 years as a data analyst. I started first as a planning and architecture engineer, and then I find out that everything is related to the final report. I was doing a lot of work, going to the site, spending all the night, but at the end, the client or the customer doesn't know what you need. So I start doing some reporting with Excel, with few things. Then I find out it takes more time because I spend 2 days to to do the report. Then I found out the customer or the client know already the history that I did 2 days ago. Then I develop my skill to database. I find out I need to fix a correct database that can be automated and can transfer the knowledge to the final report. Then I introduce it to Power BI, Power Query, SQL servers, Python I'm using now. So to be things automated to at least it can be instant information with the client. Finally, now I'm dealing with the report as advertisement, as I'm selling something to the client. I'm selling a car, I'm selling any product. It's a product to the client. So first thing, I need to know what the client need, what he loves, then develop things based on the client. I think we were talking with Federico and Ives earlier, and Federico mentioned great thing. Don't copy things from others. Yeah, have a look, search, see what others are doing, and then develop your own thing based on your requirement and the client. I treat every dashboard I'm doing as a product. I need to sell to someone based on his requirement, based on his time. Some people, by the way, doesn't need instant information. They will tell you, don't develop this. I need it day by day. It's fine. Some people need information 2 hours late, 3 hours. So develop everything as a product. Really, I was... sorry, I will talk too much. So
no.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, that is a very important point, Mohammed, and I think that I would like the people in the audience now to remember that the report doesn't need to be complicated, doesn't need to be super beautiful, doesn't need to be extra care with buttons and bookmarks. You are creating a solution for a client, and the client needs to understand that solution easily. So the less complicated your report is, the better you will do.
And faster also.
And faster, of course. Guys, don't copy what you see other people are doing. Create your own style, your own best practices. Okay? Yes, it's good to see what Federico, Gustav, or other people do. But if you look at my portfolio, and I put this as an example, you will not see a report of mine looking like Gustav Dudek report. And I know Gustav Dudek for years. He has his style, and I got my style. When I pick up some ideas and tricks or tips, and I will use it in a different way. So that is my way. And I passing that to you because I can see a lot of the reports that they are very similar because you are looking what other people are doing. And please, make me this favor, for me. Don't create long report. That is not useful at all. And I'm going to tell you very simply why. If you're looking at the top and you have to scroll down, you cannot see the top anymore because you are looking down and the top is gone. So 16.9, 1920, 1080, that is your size, guys. Remember, you don't want to scroll a report because you lose the view of the top or the views at the bottom, and you want to compare everything together.
Yeah, I agree with you. And always, I have a question. People telling me, please give me a few templates about the i5. I said, guys, I don't have template. There is no template. I think you have this question from some people. Give me a few templates that you are using in Power BI, or a few templates to use the dashboard. And to give guys, stop using. There is nothing called template. I have a slogan I developed. I'm telling everyone here: learn from me, but do better than me. I'm always telling everyone like this: learn from me, but do better than me. So that's what I'm telling everyone. Really, I had many questions. Please give me a template file. Let me use this file. Guys, I don't have template. I never ever did 2 reports in my life the same, even the same way, even the same scheme, even the same ducks or requirement. Build everything like you are doing it from scratch. This will keep you remember everything you did before. This will improve your skills, and actually, really, you will find new ways. You will learn new things while you are doing your new report. But if you do the template, you will be in the box of using the same method you did for last few years. There's no improvement.
No, not at all.
Yeah. One of the things, even when I was talking about the product, you see how they are selling cars in First thing, what you're doing, you see the car from outside. Wow, it's different than what you saw in the previous model. Then they talk to each customer by himself. What do you like? Air condition, massage seats, sport car, high car, 4x4, van car. Then he start going inside the details. First, he's selling you the high, what you call it, like the high management triple, the high view, the big thing. Which color you like? Oh, we have this color. Which model you like? Which type of cars? Then he go for the details. See the speed, the air, the brakes. It can go this way. Oh, we have a massage. We have a heat seat. So they keep adding more details. But in the beginning, they're just selling you the big picture.
Yeah.
So I'm telling everyone, consider this dashboard, any dashboard you're doing, as a product you are selling to someone.
Correct.
And after you did, take a break for a few minutes, go back and try it by yourself, just as you are the customer. Can I see the information? Can I make the fonts bigger? Is it enough? As you said, big reports like this, going down. Because if you lost the interest of the customer, so your report, they will say, okay, thank you very much, good luck, But if you sold your report or like he actually like it, all the company, every one of your colleagues, they will be, obliged to use it because now your CEO or whatever is high management are using them, will ask everyone to update your data, to help you with it, to improve it more and more, and you'll be, you'll improve yourself, and you'll be promoted at the end, right? More money, more promotion.
That's how it works.
That's how it is. No, there is no more money. I don't want to be there. And you are correct. And that's another thing that I would like to tell to our new people in the business, that they are afraid perhaps not to be up to the job, or they have this imposter syndrome. When you get into a job, your main idea is to try to get as much information as you can from the client, for the end user, to actually define your report. As Mohammed said, they show you the car from the outside, and then you get inside of the car, but they are asking you questions. The seller is telling you, what do you want? You want a massage? You want the satellite navigation?
Speed, everything. New color inside, new color outside. They provide you. That's what I encourage everyone. Ask the one who asks you what you want to see, what the management see, and start. Don't give them idea. Just let him talk.
Yeah.
And you see the big companies, we are selling the cars, they have like customized car. This will be only for Federico. See which color, which seated, which anything, and they write it at the end for you, custom made for Federico. You can pay millions, and maybe you will not drive this car for long, but it's there with your name. It's customized for you.
Yeah.
You will feel different when I'm telling you this only customized only for you.
And that one is important, and I think participants need to understand that whatever you are creating is not for you, it's for somebody else, and that person needs to be happy. Okay, and the more information you can get from them regarding everything, what type of visual they like, what type of visual they don't like, what font, color palette, whatever you want to, try to get it from them, and you just only reproduce what the client want.
Exactly.
Okay.
One of the things that I usually recommend as well is, let me just quickly grab the screen. I'm going to showcase it to you. When we were talking about navigation and stuff like that, and whilst you're going to be going on with the conversation, I'm going to show another thing to everyone else in the background. So one of the things that I usually say is, don't forget that the page itself is just a canvas that you're playing around with, right? And for example, in this case, in the challenge, we have a limit of 2 pages. In no shape or form are you limited to just include all the information in 2 pages so it's visible all the time. And that is one of the things you need to understand. Because like Federico said, like with the long reports, the biggest issue is that as soon as I interact with it, if the data set is connected correctly, it means that things are changing up and down, left and right. So how do you get the whole picture? You can't. You're always going to be scrolling, and you're going to be sometimes like in between sizes and everything. So having a solution like this is one of the ways. So for example, right here, you can see also in the page navigation, we have 5 main pages. So I can go to every single one of them, like products, store, whatever it is. For this one, we don't have any subpages. For products, well, there's a couple of them. And I can go through these different views and change the data accordingly. In this case, it's just a table. In the overview, if we go, we can see this is one of the approaches. Now we're talking about this sort of approach. So create those scenarios in a single page. You can do that easily. There's no kind of super hard way to do it. It's just bookmarks. And trust me when I say it, learn bookmarks. They are lifesavers in a lot of situations. Because, for example, one of the things that I do in my reports when we're talking with customers is, and Mohammed also told us, like there's multiple iterations that you go through. Your own ideas change, your own approach to things changes. So what I do is when I create the report until we decided the final approach, I never delete a single page. I keep all of them there. I can hide them, of course. I can reorder them and everything, but I create duplicates and I name them version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why? Because like Mohammed and Federico said, when you're presenting your solution, right? Somebody's going to say, oh, that looks really cool. Sure, I can add that to the other thing that you like there over there. So showcase them multiple variations. Sure, it doesn't apply to things like, for example, in this case, challenges, right? Where you can have multiple pages in that sort of approach. But keep it for yourself, because whilst working on the report, you're going to notice that, for example, let's say I'm working with the timeline. You're looking at it. Yeah, but if we just have 3 years, these bars kind of like look huge. I don't really like it. I want to have it on quarterly view. Okay, I could set it up as a default, but then I want also the user to know that there are years. So you're going to be starting to go through your own scenarios. And that's when you figure out, okay, I'm going to choose this configuration for the timeline. I'm going to do this for the slicers. I'm going to do this for the navigation and so forth. Having those variations is just something that keeps you open. You can always create at the end one single page and look at it like, that's the one. That's the one that I want to showcase. But the elements are coming from multiple pages. Because one of the things I think definitely I have it, probably Federico and Mohammed also have them. We have hundreds of different small reports where we were testing just different things. One report where we were testing, for example, bookmarks, how they work. We were playing around with field parameters, with the switches and something, just playing around with things. Why we have small reports? Because big reports are going to take a lot of space and they're going to take a lot of time to load in. So just build small reports and try to see, okay, so how does it work? Okay, that's cool. If I could actually do this, that would be even better. And then you see somewhere on the community forums or even the challenge reports, oh, somebody did that. Now, how the hell did you do that? I want to do that as well. So the challenges, what they're all about, the way I see it, is they're a source of inspiration for you guys. It's a way for you to challenge yourself, but everything that you see online when somebody else has finished a report, it doesn't mean that that's necessarily the best practice that's out there. Find what you like from them and learn step by step. Don't try to learn everything all together. That's usually going to end up in a complete chaos, right? It's like, I usually say it like this. A person cannot be versatile in everything. It means he's not efficient in any single one of them. He knows everything about everything, but he doesn't know one thing to the core. So just stick to one thing that you know, that you like. For example, if it's data analysis itself, stick to that. The visual part is something you do base by base and just try to advance on top of it. Like, for example, even the slicers right here, right? We could have them all visible at all the times. But then I show it to the customer and he's like, yeah, but can we hide them? I want to have a clean look, right? I want to have these opportunities for users to slice and dice, but I don't want to see them. Sure, we could take all these 4 elements and, for example, do something like this. I could say, let's add a quick button. Let's add a quick button that I'm going to name just regular, let's say, filters, right? Something very simple. And that is the reason why I made a duplicate, so I have the original one. And that's why you make them. You don't want to lose it, because trust me, the amount of times where I've made mistakes of deleting the previous version and then, but I need that one visual from that last time that I had. It was looking so good. So make a duplicate. So for example, I created a button for the filters, right? Then I go and have a bookmark. In a bookmark, the way I do it is I usually just create a bookmark and I name them so that I know that, okay, I'm going to have 2 bookmarks. And this is one of the things that sometimes throws people off. I don't care about what I saved right now because you always have the update button. I just create a state that's currently visible. So I have 2 bookmarks, filters on, filters off. Now, the next thing is you start to think about these settings that are underneath the bookmark. So for example, do I want the data to follow? Now, what that means is every single time somebody's going to click on that button, it's going to read the state which the bookmarks were saved in. And in this case, since it's just showing and hiding the slicers, it's not something I wanted to remember. Because I want the user to be able to open and close the bookmarks without any interference with it. The filter menu, let's call it.
Are you working on something you need to share, or you just?
We are unable.
Oh,
yeah.
My apologies. I was sharing the wrong screen.
Because
it happens to the best of us. See? There we go.
Yeah.
Sorry for that, guys. So what I did here is I added a button, and I added 2 bookmarks with filters on and filters off. And on the right hand, if you right click on a bookmark, you have these additional properties. So data, display, current page, all visuals or selected visuals, and so forth. So once you create the bookmarks, you need to start to think about, okay, how do I want it to act? And in this case, I don't want it to save the data, because when the user is opening and closing the filters, I don't want it to reset itself. There's a separate button for that, reset slicers. So I'm going to say that I only want to work with selected visuals, and I don't want to touch the data part of the report itself. Okay. Now I need the selection pane. The selection pane basically shows you every single element that you have within the report page. The tricky part that I remember confused me a lot in the beginning is that selection is for page, bookmarks are for report. Bookmarks are not page specific. The elements are. It's a small thing, but it made me a little bit confused when I first started to use this. I'm like, where did the items go? And I'm like, okay, so they're page specific. These are not page specific. So now that I have these, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all the slicers. So you can see they're in different places on the segment. The reason why I'm selecting them is because I chose only selected visuals. And if I don't choose any slicers, it's not going to save anything. So the state that I'm currently on is I see all the slicers. So I'm going to say that this is the filters on state. Now for these 4 elements, just to make it a little bit easier for me, I'm going to drag them together. And I'm going to say now all of them are not visible. So I close the little island.
You can group them also. You can group them and hide all of them one time. It's for everyone, yes.
Yeah. It's also very efficient. The thing about the groups, though, is you got to be careful, because when you have items in the group, and this, I know this annoys a lot of people, is if you want to customize this, for example, slicer, you actually need to click twice on it.
Twice on it, yeah. That is a little bit annoying. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I group, but I agree with you.
It's one of the things that we as developers are just getting used to. There's nothing, and if you think about the logic, it makes sense. You understand why is it happening, but at the same time, it's like,
yeah. Especially when you are moving, you find everything. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and especially if you have the Q&A visual enabled as well, because if you do a double click very fast, you get a Q&A visual on top of everything. You're like, delete that, get back to this one. So there are a few little things that you're gonna learn from time to time, and trust me, we've all been struggling with them. We are still struggling with them. It doesn't matter if you created 10 or 50 or 100 reports. There are things that are gonna be, let's say, annoyance a little bit. But it does the job. That's the main thing. So the end result was I select these 4. I test if it works out. All right, looks good. So now on the filter button, you cannot have 2 actions. Remember that. But there's an easy workaround for it. You create a second button for it. And now you place it on top. Now, since I have 2 buttons, I would have to update these filters, basically to also include the button. But the main idea would here be the user has a button which he can use to basically call out the filters, the slicers, or close them down. And I have a lot more room now. I can add cards there. For example, if I open it up, you can see that, okay, it would be interfering. Sure, add a shape underneath it. Make it another part of the report. You can play around with the elements. The one thing that changed my mindset when it comes to Power BI reports is when I started to think about the report as it would have layers. And that's one of the things that changes the perception of the report completely. Because when you're used to sort of like, that's a page, that's what you look at. You have your visuals, you have your cards, but then you start to think, okay, but I have one layer, that's the background, then I have the visuals, then I have the cards, then I have the Q&A. There are multiple layers that you can create. And that's what allows you to, even within a single page, have a lot of information. It's much better that you create these small little groups of visuals than to have 20 visuals in a single page. Nobody is going to be able to read 20 visuals at the same time. It's impossible. That's one of the things. That's one of the issues, not the issues, the mistakes that I made as well when I started off. Because when you start to work with Power, but I want to see this, I want to see this, I want to see that, I also want to showcase this. Think about the story you're telling with your report. Where do you start off? How do you go through it? And what is important? Sure, every single dimension could be shown, for example, as a separate donut chart, right? But I've decided, no, the way I want to go through it is I want to make sure that the user is able to choose which time of day he wants to focus on. Once he chooses it, then he can look at, for example, different age groups. Not the age groups, in this case, hours specifically. Same here. I want to see, for example, by the role. So I want to focus on offenders. Okay, I see most of them in this case are males in this specific segment. That's the way I tell the story with the visuals. Of course, every single one of these layers could be a separate donut chart, but the question is it really necessary? The first layer that you're showing to the users is the overview. They would need to understand the situation, okay, what's really happening there as an overall aspect. And then you go into the details. That's why you have the drill down visuals. That's why you have the drill down capability also in the native visuals, because you start off big and then you go down and find, okay, what's really causing this? How did we get to this? What are the details for this specific crime? And so forth. So, yeah, the one thing that I just wanted to kind of go through is don't forget that you have bookmarks. The bookmarks allow you to create multiple tabs. The tabs could be either somewhere on the page at the top, on the side, or something, but keep them consistent. One thing that we also noticed from submissions is that people like to throw the navigation around in different places. So for example, in one page you have the navigation somewhere here at the top, you go to the next page and suddenly it's some here now at the bottom left. You're like, I wouldn't have noticed this, to be fair. Because how do you read reports, right? Well, you start off from one corner, either it's left or right, depends on the region that you're in, but it's the same approach. You find the center point for it and you create a page that is readable for that specific audience. You tailor to it.
Another thing also, Ivis, I noticed on the last submission for our team who was submitting everything, everyone was focused on adding as many slicers as possible.
Oh yeah.
YouTubers' names, everything. In the same time, I can use my visual, my donut charts, my map as a slicer.
Of course,
it will save you the space. And the other thing, if you have as many slicers as you are adding, when I'm clicking all the slicers, sometimes what did I filter? And you need to go back each one of them and receive. Some of our contest has been adding a reset button there. Yeah, I love, but teach your client to use the same visual as a slicer. If you have a visual with the year and month, perfect. This will save you the year and month. If you have a donut chart or pie chart or mapping, this will save you the country and maybe the names or types or anything. And add slicers when actually you need it. Like, actually, this is an important slicers. I need to add. Most of my report has 1 or 2 slicers maximum. And I'm doing like a small meeting with everyone, teaching them how to go navigating through the columns. Another tip is now with the text box, with the new text box that we have, you can add a dynamic head in the top of your page. Now I'm doing it for most of my reports now. This dynamic head will tell him actually which filter he's using. And I find it very useful because he can see the date, the month, and which category he's using, the type, and then he can, without keep asking himself, what did I choose? He can immediately see all the filters he is using. So
Correct.
please don't add as many slicers, and you can use this customization. So sorry, go Frederick, go.
Not only that about the filter, they are also have an implication of performance. Filters and queries to the engine.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we look at present, we have the 1, 2, 3 slicers. They are dropped down because they are not on view. They are doing nothing, no damage at all. When
Yes,
you open them up, okay, that is a query they have to send to the engine for the query to produce the data and so on. If you have 3 slicers, it's okay. But you have 20 slicers plus 20 visual plus that calculated column, and all that start adding to the performance of the report, your report will become slow. And I want to make a simple, you look how do you call that when performance analyzer?
Yeah, before analysis, yes.
If you look at performance analyzer, you will see all the visual they are in the report and everything. Think about that there is a queue where the engine had to process one, and then the another one, and then the another one, and another one, and another one. So all this that you have in your report had to be analyzed again by the engine. By adding more unnecessary stuff, okay, the report becomes slower. Okay, so remember, guys, use the slicer you need, use the visual as an slicer, and the best slicer are drop down of the ones that are not on view. One thing that we don't use very often is the filter pane, and the filter pane is fantastic. And when you close it, it's not on view, therefore it's not sending any query. When you open it up, it starts producing query, but a lot of the filters sometimes we use can be actually put in here, in the filter pane, some of them. Okay, so remember, it's a combination of slicing by visuals, slicing by filter in the canvas, and slicing by filter in the filter pane. As Mohammed said, it's only 2, 3. I actually have maybe 1 or 2. There are reports I have no slicer at all because you can actually filter using the visual.
Yes, I agree with you.
Okay, so that for you guys to learn that everything has a code. When Avis open now roll, now the report that the filter is sending queries to the engine. When it's closed, it's stop it. I'm happy here. When you open, and the heaviest of the filter is the tile. Okay, so remember that I have an implication. So you want to report to be fast and like a Ferrari. Think about what you put. Think about what you put on your report. The number of visual. I love the Contoso example of Avis because it has on one side a number of KPI metrics. Go to the overview page, please.
Yep.
Okay. On the left side, you have a number of metrics and a visual. And then you have 1, 2, 3 more charts. There is no more, guys. Is that how simple it is? 3 visual and some KPI metric with the bars on the other side. That's it. You don't need to have 20 visuals in there. What he's doing is to go through different stages using bookmark and more pages. Okay, so remember, it's not about having all what you can in your canvas. It's about having the necessary stuff to transmit information to your user. And he needs to know more. They can drill down, drill through more pages and bookmark.
Because you mentioned now the performance. Sometimes when I'm doing my report, I go to the Power Query and do some grouping with some data without using the DAX. Sometimes you find the big data to do the count, the sum, and you find the reports are going heavy. So I go back to the Power Query, extracting some information from grouping, doing some queries there, and it's fine, guys, to create a small table that summarizes everything for you to make your report faster. At the end, the final client or the customer, he doesn't see the design mode that you are using. He's happy with what he's using. Fast. He's in a meeting. He needs an immediate decision. He doesn't have to fancy laptop. He doesn't have this big laptop. Sometimes he's using his mobile to get some information. If you make it faster for him, it doesn't matter if how many Power Query or how many table summary that you use. It's faster. He will love it. As Federico said, a Ferrari. You don't go to the factory of Ferrari to see how they build, every component, but it's fast. You are in the seat. And
no. It is. Talking about the sample of the Ferrari, I probably not open the I forgot the name, to see the engine in the car. I might have a look one time or two times, but normally I just get into the car and drive it. Okay, so nobody's going to open the car and check the engine and the brakes. You're going to see from outside, and then you're going to try it. So that of people checking your data modeling or your data, that is not going to happen. They are working fast. And that's something very important, guys. When your CEO or senior management is looking at your report, they don't want silliness. They want an answer in 2 seconds. So they need to click on there and do that blab. That is my answer. Thank you. And they keep moving. So remember that when you are creating your report, who is your audience, and senior management have 1 minute, and that probably is too long to check your report. And I'm going to tell you very quickly what happened to me. Was working for a CEO, now is the president of Lauda Airlines in Austria, a fantastic person. And I sent my first report, and he told me that over the phone. He called me, Federico, if I want to read a newspaper, I buy it. What he's telling me, you are giving me a newspaper of your report, I only need 4 lines. Okay, from there on, my report was 4 lines.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is what, as just continue what you said now, and because you just accepting, this comment, and you develop and you improve. So because I see some people, once they rejected or they work on DAX or a specific visual for a long time, and then they said we don't like it, you get frustrated. Done. Yeah. I'm not going. By the way, guys, sometimes it's a simple visual, simple text box, few slicers, and they love it. This is what I need.
But that's it. You don't need to feel bad sometimes. I know it might be frustrating, but at the end of the day, your job is to provide the information the end user wants. If they don't like this way, it's not against you. They might be different, okay? What you see as important for you important. What they see as important is not what you see. So if they ask you to change it, you just change it. Mm-hmm. Don't take it personally, guys. You are going to get used to that. You are going to get used to prepare a report, and 10 minutes later say, well, we don't need it anymore. Yeah, as simple as that. Well, I've been working 3 hours on that report. If they're going to say, no, sorry, we don't need it anymore. Okay, but you move on. Okay? So,
as a report developer, I think we all are frightened from a phrase. We thought about it. That usually means all that you've done previously is just scratched off, and you have to start over.
That'd be very polite.
Yeah, that's the polite way of saying, well, you can just delete it. We got a new idea.
Yeah, it happened to all of us.
It was, of course.
It happened. I swear to you, in the beginning, I don't want to say, but in the beginning, I was in not this company, but previous company. One time, I was doing a report, and I swear, he just took it and put it on the table and just, what's this? And in the beginning, and he was doing it smiling, like, go improve it, I was frustrated, but he told me, actually, it's about how you are receiving my work. Is it encouraging you to do better, or are you taking it as, as just a rejection? I swear, I spent 2 days, I didn't sleep, and I take his advice. He told me, give me just a small, review, small template. Start with the first one. Then let's go one by one. Because what I did, I developed about 50 pages. Suddenly, this is I worked hard, this is everything. And he said, no. As Federico said, let's start with the first one. I love it. Yeah, go to the next one. third one, and then
Yeah.
finally you find.
And that is another good trick also, and I think it's important for you guys. You're going to work for someone. You want to extract as much information from them before you start producing something. Going step by step. Do you like that? Yes. You continue to the second step. Otherwise, you try to do everything in one go, and you're going to have to go back quite a few times. Okay. And another thing that I did was to tell the person of the report, listen, I will make top maximum 3 changes. I was a consultant. I said, okay, if you want more, I will increase my price, my money, because they keep coming back to change the bookmark. And remember, when you are working in a report that is fully prepared, working on the bookmark is not that simple because you have so many objects. And you need to check that all a day properly. And when you did that and you go back to another bookmark, because you didn't check it at the time, it have actually changed the value. You have to go back, change the value, update the bookmark. Okay, so I know sometimes it would be frustrated. If you're a consultant, you write an email to the person that is employing you and say, okay, on this price, you have a maximum of 5 changes because they will drive you crazy. Okay, but it's not personal. It's not personal.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know, but I have a trick I'm doing in these situations when there is like, a lot of changes and you don't know what you need. I saw it with the people who are selling products, cars and everything. When there's a customer, you give him a fancy car or, this is the product. It's very expensive. We spend time. And then he start to give you options. But at the same time, he's telling you, oh, I don't think this is for you. What you're trying something less, or he said, no, I like fancy. He starts reacting with you. And you keep telling him, no, forget. Let's start over. I don't think this is for you. He will start giving you the idea that you need. So sometimes, I don't know, but I never did it. I didn't mean anything for you. But sometimes some clients, when you tell them I have 2 or 3, changes, and they are going to keep changes all the time. We know about this. It's happened to me. I swear, I was working on 1 month, daily basis changes. And after 1 month, nearly we go back to the first one. After, we change everything. I find myself.
That will happen, Mohammed. That will happen. So when you tell them, listen, that is 2,000 euros, for example, and you have 3 changes. If you want more changes, it will be 3,000 euros. You want 5 changes, it will be, and then they start thinking about how many changes they want to, because end of the day, they will come back to the initial report.
Yeah.
Okay. But guys, that is our work. I remember getting very, very frustrated and trying to explain my best possible way. Oh, you want to change that again? But that is not how it is. Yeah, okay, you want to change it. And as Mohammed said, if you can lean the client to the side you want to, I don't think that is going to work for your report because this or that. I will go with this. Okay, it's going to help you to actually minimize the amount of changes you have to produce in a report.
Yeah, because remember, one thing that you have to understand, and this is one of the things I think that a lot of report developers forget about, a lot of consultants forget about, is that the customer doesn't necessarily know, first of all, what he actually wants. That's one of the things. The other thing is he doesn't know the capabilities of Power BI. He just knows he wants a report from Power BI. It's your job to deliver and showcase the possibilities and show those different options and tell about different options so we can start to think about it. That's one of the reasons why what we usually do is whenever we meet a customer, we sort of have first what we call just a kickoff meeting, right? We get to know each other. We try to understand what the report is going to be about, what they've been using so far and so forth, just to kind of get in their mindset. And then we set some ground rules and we tell them, okay, now it's your job to think about the story that you're going to be telling. Tell me, what do you want to find within the report? What is the first thing you want to notice when you come to the report? You have to ask the questions because for them, it's very basic. I want to see a report. Well, go figure what it means, right? So
carry on, David.
So one of the things that it's the same as just think about it as a graph visual, right? For example, the graph visual by itself is a very powerful tool, right? It has the connections and it shows you how things are related to each other. But if you, for example, showcase, let's say, all the crimes, which means I'm now showcasing all the connections that the data source has, Does this give you a lot of information? It just looks like a giant bush. That's it. There's no information coming from it. So you have to create a narrative. You have to tell the story. And that's why even a simple change of saying, okay, every single time a user comes and opens up the report, it might not be the first thing that he wants to look, but I'm going to limit this to have just one particular crime type. Why? Because the report is going to be loading a lot faster. The second thing is he can actually start to interact with things and be like, oh, but I actually want to see other crime types. Okay, I can add one more on top of it, or I can switch between them. Okay, so you create a narrative. And that's one of the things you have to understand about the reports is, sure, you give them as much possibilities as possible, right? But you still have to understand if those scenarios make sense. Does it really make sense to see, for example, all the crime types at the same time? If yes, okay, maybe then I shouldn't be using this or that visual. If I want to create a narrated story, okay, I'm going to be using that visual because I know it has a lot of things to do in the background. So you need to think about the story, because for the end user, he's going to be like, no, I want to see everything. So, and this happens a lot with the graph visual. A lot of people are, when they're creating it, they're like, I just want to see the whole map. And usually my main question is, but what is it going to tell you if you see, like in this case, we had, I think, 2.7K nodes. What story does the visual tell you? No, really, just if you tell it to me and I can understand it, I'm gladly going to add it. But it doesn't tell any story. Well, I can see there's a lot of crime happening, but that's about it.
Yeah, but that's what you said. Yeah. Very important. Well, Avi said that we think that the client know what they want. Most of the time, they don't know what they want. It's for you to actually to extract it from them. So that idea of you're gonna have a report for this guy and they're gonna tell you what report he wants. One, Avi said they want to see all. They want all the data. They don't know about performance. They don't know what they want, and then you have to start taking things off to making things clear to them. So remember, they don't know what they want.
Yeah. Sometimes, by the way, you need to give them ideas. Like asking them, okay, if you are in a meeting, what's the first thing you need to see? What's the things you are looking for? You can ask them a few questions and find out, as you and Ivy said, I can create a simple visual. He will be satisfied and happy with it without going fancy. And then I can create details for other team and the member, his team, to go through it and, feed him with information while he's in the meeting or when he asks questions. But and other thing, guys, colors. I think Federico Ives will go through it. But yeah, I saw colors guy. Why people doesn't like have one or two colors? With the YouTube channel challenge, I find really very good color, like dark color or white color, but all of them want to implement all the scheme from YouTube. The red, the white, the blue, the black, no need for all of this, because sometimes you distract who see your report from actual the information, because you can see the icon here, the color here, what's happening here, and then he will say, I'm distracted. I don't know actually what I'm looking at.
And everybody is going to produce the report in black and red because YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
So they're going to have plenty of reports. They are the same, think in a different way.
It's the same thing, like, for example, we had the Spotify challenge as well, or any other days. As soon as you see a company, you're like, okay, those are the colors that I'm going to be using, right? That doesn't mean anything. The logo is just a representation of the company. It doesn't mean that every single thing has to be in those colors.
Yes.
It's just a base color. Sure, there are cases where the company wants to have a corporate theme, right? They have specific colors, they showcase things. But think about it. If you're taking, let's say, the same Spotify, right? That's the green color. It doesn't mean that every single chart has to be green. Because at that point, the first initial thought process for any human being is green is good, right, guys? So even if the song is, for example, doing bad, I'm going to have a great results there. So it's just small things like that. The other thing that I also wanted to quickly go and answer is we do have a question, gentlemen.
Yes.
And that is from Ultimate. And the question is, when you are expected to do a 2-page report and you have, let's say, 15 visuals, to display in your report, how does using a bookmark help you to display, let's say, 4 of them? The answer to it is in this example right here. And we'll figure out one example and we'll send it to you afterwards. I'll create a small one for the crime data set as well. Is even though you have 15 visuals, I'm more than certain that those 15 visuals don't answer the same question. Those visuals can probably be grouped into smaller groups, whether they're talking about the crime rate, whether they're talking about the ethnicity, the demographics, the location itself, or something, right? Group those visuals by the idea of them and what they're representing. So in this case, the bookmarks, the way it does is we're still looking at the overview, but I'm right now looking at sales over time. Then I'm looking at the sales amount in general. So how things are connected, different visuals, same page, still on the same page, changing it from sales quantity, and then looking at actuals versus targets. So you're splitting your narrative again. It's the same principle also for the crime analytics. Sure, we have a lot of different dimensions. That's one of the things that we wanted to give you guys: the ethnicity, the age groups, the time of the day, the date itself, the role in the crime, the type of crime. So there's a lot of things to showcase, right? And that's what I said, like I could have like 10 different donut charts, but there's no need for them. You can easily group those visuals in drill down levels. That's one of the approaches. Think about the story and how you want to drive your user. If you don't want to have that approach, use bookmarks just to, for example, switch between the visuals.
Yes.
Showcase 2 visuals in one case, showcase 3 visuals in another case. Use the canvas that you have. The user, trust me, if you have more than 5 or 6 different visuals in a page, I usually don't count the cards because cards are cards. They're a separate class of visuals. But actual visualizations like columns, lines, donut charts, maps, graph visuals, all these sorts of things. 3 or 5 visuals is the max you should have in a single page. More than that, everything, it just drives the attention all over the place.
I remember a challenge I participated with Enterprise DNA, and it was a one-page report. They have no constraint on the number of bookmarks you could actually introduce. And from one-page report, we have 10 different bookmarks, layer of information.
Yes.
That was quite cheeky because, well, it's one page and not 1 page and 10 bookmarks that give me almost like another 10 pages, but it's only on the same page. So bookmark, Avi said, allow you to bring something more without having to go to a different page.
Yeah.
Okay. And there is a question, Rigoberto, any prototype for the mobile version that we can see? I don't know, Avi, do you have a mobile version or somewhere?
I don't have one. Not for this one. We can try to create something, but go ahead, Federico.
Rigoberto, you see what you see now in this canvas. In the mobile version, it will not be like that at all. You most probably create a page that will have the visuals and KPI you want to display on that mobile, and that will be the KPIs of the visual you will display in the mobile phone. Okay, if you try to now to do a mobile version of this canvas, you will have a very, very long mobile version, and you need to work quite a lot because you have to adapt all what you have here into the mobile version. And what you want to do is to pick up the most important metrics and visuals, and that will be the one that you will actually add to your mobile version. Actually, I have not worked on them very much. Mohammed, had you prepared mobile versions?
Yeah, I prepared a mobile version, and I'm telling you, it's quite improved now. I think I was saying before. By the way, now you can choose the visual and change the font in the mobile version. Before, we had to do the same as the page with the mobile version. So if you have a landscape page and you have, as I will show us now, it's great now. But before you do the mobile, you need to know if they need it or no. Because if he's opening the dashboard from his Power BI application in the mobile, he doesn't know if he need to go landscape or he will stay in the portrait mode. So be careful when you're designing this one that they know it and they need it. Because it's totally different, as Ivis are showing you now, it's totally different than the landscape. So maybe he will open in the mobile and say, oh, no, this is not details. So maybe he doesn't need it.
Yep.
That's very interesting point.
That's a very important. I think that's the one thing that changes.
Don't use prototype. Don't use prototype. Yeah, design it based on the. By the way, in the mobile, you can add just a few cards. With information. No need for visual. Yeah, like total sales. Revenue. For example, if, as the case as shows Ivis, sale total revenue, top 5 countries, for example. Just few things for him. Just once he look, oh, that's good. He turn to landscape, and then he can see the full report and go navigate through it.
Correct. You don't need to display everything you have in the Canva. You display what is important or what they would like to see. Probably profits going up and down, an important metric that will give them automatic information without needing to go through. Now the mobile report works very well because you can add one by one, but before was a little of a nightmare. And the point that Mohammed is making, if you are looking at the phone horizontally, like this, it's not the same that when you look at like this. And that's going to shake. So I don't know how we are going to fix that, but that's a problem you need to think about and tell your client, listen, you can only wash it this way or this way. You tell me which way you are going to wash it, okay? And then I can prepare something good on mobile.
Yep. It's either that or you can, of course, kind of, again, create something like an information overlay when they first open up the report and say them, this is going to be the mobile view, which is going to be the summarized version. If you want the full detail report, just flip your phone a little bit. That's it. So it's about thinking about the story you're telling with your report. Because if you are thinking rationally, right, I do understand that a lot of requests are irrational. So one of the things that I usually when I go to mobile reports is you do need to understand it's not going to be the same report with all the visuals and everything. It's humanly impossible to have it there. So when you go through it, I need to understand what are the main things you want to see. That's also what Federico said. What do you want to focus on? That's just to understand the overall scenario. Because if you think about it, right, when you're holding your phone like this, it means you just want to understand, okay, are we up, down? What's the main thing? Are we in problem? No, we're good. Okay, I can go keep on working. If I want to start to investigate something, you're not going to be sitting like this and trying to zoom in on a portrait mode. No, you're going to hold it in both hands and start to investigate and play around with it. And that's when you provide the details. That's why you think about the story. And even if they go in the mobile layout kind of order itself, you need to understand them. Okay, so what are going to be the main things you want to have there?
Yep, agree, 100%. And they might not even scroll down on the telephone. They just want to see the report, what they see, and have the information there. So it's very important for you, Rigoberto, to obtain, okay, report work, mobile phone report work differently. What is important for you to see? When you click your phone, what you want to see. They give you the information, and that's what you will put on the mobile phone. You don't need to put everything.
You remember there was a movie, if I recall it correctly, Merging Call, remember? At the end of the movie, the CEO was telling him, please speak in English and like 2 years old child. Yeah, he just need to have a specific information and to take a decision that will cost him 40 billion. Just, a small line can drive the company right or left. So he was asking him, please speak in English and to a child. Just, as simple as it is.
Yep.
And that's very important too, that when we are passing information to the end user, we don't know how much do they know about data and visual. So it has to be explained to a 5-year-old, as Mohammed said. That is very important. Most important than people think.
Yeah. And the last thing that I could add is, like Federico just also said, is try to explain it as simple as possible. It's one of the questions that you ask the customer is you need to understand, okay, but how tech savvy are going to be the actual end users? Just because the guy or girl that's asking you to create a report doesn't mean that the actual user is going to be the same qualification. Yeah. Maybe he's the guy that's never seen Power BI in his life. He doesn't know what Power BI interactive reports are. What do they do? Oh, I can drill down? What the hell is a drill down? Drill through? Come on, guys. What are you talking about? You need to understand who's going to be the end user, and you adapt to their needs. This is why, for example, when it comes to visuals, you need to understand which are the most commonly used visuals. Because, for example, you could have, let's say, a regular donut chart just to showcase 3 or 5 different categories, how they create the part of a whole, right? I could showcase the same information also as a column chart. So I need to understand if the audience is okay with one type of visuals, okay with other type of visuals. I could also have a funnel chart, but the funnel chart is a bit more different, right? So you need to understand, okay, but do they know how to read the funnel chart? If I have things going up and down, showing trend lines and forecasts, do they really need it? Just because we can create it doesn't mean you need to have it. That's one of the things you need to understand. You need to make sure that the report is delivering the message that the customer needs. In these challenges, think about it like that. If you would see the report, what do you want to see? We don't have specific other criteria that go through here. So sure, we have defined that there's a page size, there's a limit of pages and these sort of things. But the end customer here is, think about it that you're receiving this report. If you start to go through it, does this report tell a story? Do these visuals make sense? It can actually read the report. But when it comes to visuals, the good thing that I usually try out is, of course, I can't do it with customers' data, right? Because I would be breaching every single contract. But for public reports that I create, I give it to my wife. I give it to my colleagues. I just ask, can you actually use this? Do you understand what the hell have I created here? In some cases, they come back and you're like, it looks good. That's the first thing that I can tell you. Thank you. That's like 90% of the victory. And they're like, but I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. And I'm like, well, that's where I lost you. So just ask about it.
We are laughing, Mohammed and I were laughing because probably we do the same and we know the spelling. Yeah. I ask my children, I ask my
By the way, sometimes
wife.
with my daughters, sometimes I'm gay. Yeah. But I don't like the colors. You know why this is? They don't understand what it's about, but they give you an idea what's happening. There is I think, terminology from a very famous chef called Bobby. He was saying, "Kiss, keep it simple, stupid." And when he was doing a very top chef content judge, he was always telling everyone, "Kiss, keep it simple, stupid." And by the way, for everyone who's listening, this is more hard and talented and, more what you call skills to do this. It doesn't mean when you create something simple, it doesn't mean there is not too many technology and skills behind it. If you watch it like other chefs who's doing you have a plate like a soup with a small pieces inside, and you think, nothing is there. If you saw him how he did it, oh my God, it's many skills, many techniques has been there. So when you do something like this, don't underestimate yourself and think, I did something simple. No, there is skills, there is techniques you did there, but it doesn't mean that people should have it. As Federico said in this webinar, Ferrari, you have tons of technology there. But when you are driving, you're enjoying with the simplest thing around you.
You are just driving, yeah. No, I agree. And I think people will, over the time, the more they learn, the more they step back from creating very fancy reports and going back to the simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. The simple, the better to understand, the better. So when you go to work, you're not going to have the time to do this fancy, super fancy report. And you will realize that going simple and with good information, it will take you far away.
Exactly. All right. I think we cannot really ask for more of your time, guys. We've already been a little bit more overboard than expected, but we just kept the conversation going. None of you seem to mind it. But from my side, what I could tell you is thanks. Thanks for coming in. I hope you learned something new and actually insightful. Because as I've said before, learning something new is very simple, but not everything you learn is going to be actually useful. So if you manage to learn something useful, that's perfect. Leave us the feedback. Tell us about what you managed to learn and what you want to see more about. That's going to help us improve, right? Because having that constructive criticism also allows you to okay, I didn't actually think about it that way. But now that you say it, I could change a few things, right? So we just want to understand if you feel, guys, welcomed here, if the information is useful, does it actually help you, and all of that. Other than that, I'm very thankful for Mohammed and Federico for joining.
Thank you.
As always, I think we provided a show.
We are the best Bordies team in the world.
Exactly.
That's simple.
We're gonna get the trademark there one day.
Oh yeah, we got the little t-shirts and everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Thank you for joining,
Thank you.
and have
Thank
an amazing
you. Gracias
rest
a
of the day.
todos. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.